Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me. How are you? Have a good day, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, now we will come to today's news. Check this out. We have the communist Ilhan Omar representative out of Minnesota running away from the press when actually confronted about the crime that she is supporting in her own community, because she is one of the originators of Defunded Police Defund the People, who actually protect many parts of that city and make way for more equity, which means no policing, which means let them run wild. And that's what they've been doing in Minnesota. And again, that's one of the top issues right now heading into the midterms that voters care about. They care about crime. And they understand that the Democrat Party has been the facilitator of the high crime spikes we are seeing across the country, especially in cities controlled by Democrats, because they have actively gone after the police department. They act all fine when we say defund or dismantle the FBI, because that's actually a corrupt organization. It needs to be dismantled. Please. Other hand, yes, somebody probably needs to be reformed and looked at the funding them not so smart now, especially in cities like that. When confronted, she ran away, jumped in a car and they left. They jumped in this little Bubbles smart car. Absolutely hilarious to see these communists run when they actually are confronted with questions. I'm sure the question was, what do you think about MAGA Republicans? She would have all the time in a day to tell you about MAGA Republicans, but this communist knows that her rhetoric is what's going to cost the party tons and tons of seats. So let's get to take a look what we have here. Coming to us via Red Voice Media. Fox News here. We have this. The consequences of defund the police. Let's take a listen. We need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department. Any reaction to rising crime in America? You support it to defund the police movement and lead to rising crime. Do you have any reaction? Any reaction? No reaction. It impacts your citizens. And she just drives away. From there. Yep. That is today's Democrat Communist Party right there when confronted with the policies they have enacted, and many places across the country. They run away because they don't want voters to know to associate them with the defunded police movement. They don't want them to be associated with that. You heard her in the video, right? Very beginning this. We need to dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department. Yes. Dismantle, and they have taken the hammer to the Minneapolis Police Department, and crime is out of control. And they continue to do it. They don't want their name attached to defund. Do they think voters are stupid? Many are, I think, low information voters where they have forgotten that Democrats paint it in the streets in many large cities. Defund the police on streets across the nation. They want you to forget that. They want you to think that Republicans are the ones who want to defund the police. That's how they are. They always the party switched. And we have to talk about the continued failure and the downward spiral of this administration, or more specifically, this president. People don't seem to understand is that in the world of politics, and especially geopolitical relations between massive nations, well, it's a little bit of a boys' club. And the reality is Joe Biden isn't in it. The guy is such a massive laughingstock, such a clear clown on the world stage. It's so clear, it's so obvious that he isn't being taken seriously. They are toying with him. Donald Trump had mean tweets, but at least the rest of the world took him seriously. Like I always say, at least he had everyone at attention. When Donald Trump walked in a room, people knew that he meant business. He wasn't playing games, he was there frankly, to F shit up and to get deals done, to use his power, to use his leverage as the leader of the free world for actual results. Instead, we've gotten to the appeasement apology cowardly foreign politics of the Obama administration. Except even worse, because Joe Biden is an actual dementia patient who's probably wearing a damn diaper. The world is not taking this guy seriously. And OPEC's most recent decision that shows you the true consequences of having such a weak, feckless, incompetent, leftist leader who's in clear cognitive decline. Alright, folks, so you've probably heard this argument a million times before. X wouldn't have happened had Donald Trump been president. In many cases, it's hard to really say. I like to think that a lot of these things probably wouldn't be happening with Donald Trump as president. I know a lot wouldn't, and I know a lot probably wouldn't have been as bad, but this specific situation, if Donald Trump was president, would not be happening. And I could say that as an unequivocal fact. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. Take a look at this. Saudi Arabia stubs Biden, as OPEC cuts oil production by 2 million barrels a day. Gas price is set to rise higher after White House begged Middle East nations to not cut output just 5 weeks There you have it, folks. That's the Biden administration. Joe Biden. I'm definitely not going to Saudi Arabia to beg the Saudis for more oil, but actually I'm going to Saudi Arabia to fist pump the crown prince and beg him to pump more oil. Just got shafted. They told him to take a hike. They said take this old man, put him back in the damn nursing home. We are not going to prioritize you over our own people is essentially what they just told them. And you know what? I don't even blame them. The Saudi empire is an oil empire. They don't benefit in the low oil price environment. Do you know how much money the Saudis make on oil? If I'm not mistaken. I did a little bit of a deep dive into this not too long ago. Well, a couple months ago, the Saudis spend like $20 a barrel producing this stuff. They make absolutely insane profit margins exporting oil, and they're also able to supply that oil to their own people for very cheap, I mean, at a fraction of the cost of what we pay in the West. And so clearly, they're gonna do what's best for their own interest. Unless you use a bargaining chip, you use some leverage, some power. Joe Biden doesn't know how to negotiate. The guy is a clown. He thinks diplomacy is begging, being a nice guy. Hey, Mr. Saudi Prince, how about you cut your profit margins by, probably hundreds of billions of dollars, because we'd really appreciate that in the United States and in the West. And the Saudis essentially told him to go F himself, excuse my language, but that's the truth. Here's the synopsis or the TLDR. From the Daily Mail's piece. The cut is OPEC's largest since the start of the co-op pandemic. It could help Russia keep financing its illegal invasion of Ukraine. Despite the West's effort to cut oil and gas as a source of revenue for Putin's war machine, the White House was, quote, having a spasm and panicking over the potential outcomes of OPEC's decision. Unnamed administration official told CNN Biden aides took a victory lap when gas prices fell at a record as the summer Korean John Pierre was questioned about this. So there's a lot of nuance, a lot of nuance. Yeah, we get the nuance, and it's that you guys have absolutely no idea what you're doing. Joe Biden has been depleting the strategic oil reserves as a damn band-aid fix. And he's completely screwed up diplomatically, because they're prioritizing this ridiculous far-left woke agenda over basic common sense, the common sense being that the Eastern world isn't going to prioritize the benefit, or I guess the priorities of the West over their own. I mean, basic common sense here, people they're in competition with us, winning competition by handing over your leverage, destroying your own economy, destroying your own oil supplies, putting the ball in their court, giving them all of the leverage in the discussions and then expecting that they're going to work hard to benefit you at their own loss. No, of course not. The Saudis are going to do what the Saudis were probably going to do this entire time. Laugh that sleepy, creepy old Joe. They told him to his face, if they were not going to increase oil production, they were going from 11 million barrels a day to 12, something like that. And then just wait a couple months right before the midterms, and just slap Sleepy Joe with a 2 million barrel a day cut, creating a shortage in supply, which is obviously going to skyrocket the price of oil, which they're going to benefit from. They have to now do less work for increased profits. Obviously, they were going to do that from the start. The only person who can see the writing on the wall is this damn president who can't even read. How's he going to read the writing on the wall? He can't read a damn teleprompter. Absolutely stupid. This would have never happened with Donald Trump as president because Donald Trump understood a couple of fundamental things that the West had to lead through strength. It's not about being oppressive, being a fascist, being a colonizer superpower. It's about leading with strength in a boardroom, in negotiations, in business. You need to use leverage, you need to project strength, or people will walk all over you. The world of geopolitics is the same thing. Every country is a business and you're competing on the world stage. Donald Trump understood this fundamentally, he understood this clearly, which is why his mandate as President of the United States when he took over in 2017 was to make America energy independent. That's why you saw gas under $2. At certain points, depending on what the state's taxes or oil production, and oil drilling halted immediately under Joe Biden's regime. And here you go, here are the consequences. And Donald Trump warned you, he warned everyone, he said the stock market was going to tank and he said that gas was going to hit $5. We're constantly pointing at Joe Biden clips and saying, well, that didn't age well, like Joe Biden taking credit for the reduction in oil prices. Well, why is it that Donald Trump's statements are aging? Well, in fact, not just aging? Well, they're aging supremely well. I mean, for Pete's sakes, the guy's a damn clairvoyant. Well, folks, it's not a superpower. Although these days, it might be, basic, common sense might be a superpower, because it seems as though less and less people have it these days. But that's really all it is. That's all it's ever been. It's basic, common sense and understanding of fundamental concepts when it comes to negotiations, business, finance, economics, and it's something that this guy just doesn't have. Joe Biden is clueless. He is absolutely clueless. He doesn't know what he's doing. And it becomes more and more clear each and every single day. How many Biden blunders do we need to experience until people are convinced by this simple fact: this guy is a disaster? And it really needs to be the focus here, folks. This has been my criticism of the GOP War Room, RNC research, whatever you want to call it, GOP campaigning in general. They're still focusing on Biden gaffes by mispronouncing words or looking confused on stages. Of course, it's one thing I talk about it every now and then. But Republicans need to start hitting the issues. They need to start campaigning seriously and genuinely on the issues on stuff like this. Because this is where you win. The Democrats under Joe Biden are handing over the next 2 elections on a damn silver platter. And if the GOP can't win in this environment, then man, that is on them, but we'll just have to see what happens. The simple fact remains: Joe Biden is the worst president in modern American history, and that is just a fact. It's Obama but 10 times worse. Thank you very much. WWG1WGA. Give me your thoughts below and